Woman CEO gets into the elevator and hears a janitor's son tell her don't talk. The reason will shock youth. Glass Tower in the center of the city was the headquarters of Titan Industries, one of the most powerful companies in the country. Its CEO, Victoria Hale, was a woman known for her unshakable presence. She ruled the boardroom with the same cold precision she used to build her empire. That morning, she had just finished a tense meeting with investors and was heading down from the 45th floor. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped inside, heels clicking on the polished floor. To her surprise, there was already someone inside, a young boy, about 12 years old, in slightly oversized clothes and holding a mop bucket. His face was familiar. He was the son of Paul, the quiet janitor who had worked in the building for years. The doors slid shut. The elevator hummed as it began its descent. But then suddenly, the boy looked up at her with wide eyes and whispered, "Don't talk." Victoria's brows arched in offense. "Excuse me," she said, her voice sharp. The boy's hand trembled, but he repeated firmly, "Please, don't talk." Something about his tone stopped her from snapping back. It wasn't defiance, it was urgency. She noticed the way his eyes darted toward the ceiling panels. Then she heard it, the faint crackle of static. Someone was listening. Her instincts sharpened. Years of cutthroat negotiations had taught her how to read silence. She glanced up and noticed the tiniest glint of a wire sticking out from the corner of the panel above them. The boy leaned close, whispering so quietly she almost missed it. "My dad found hidden microphones. They're everywhere in the building. Someone's spying on you," they said. "If you talk in the elevator, they'll know everything." Victoria's chest tightened. Her company was in the middle of a $2 billion merger. Rivals got inside information. The consequences would be catastrophic. She kept her face composed, pretending to check her phone, but her mind was racing. The janitor's son had just saved her. The elevator reached the lobby. As the doors opened, Victoria stepped out without a word. But before leaving, she gave the boy a single look, half gratitude, half command. That evening, she summoned Paul, the janitor, and his son to her private office. "I owe you both more than you know," she said, lowering her usually icy voice. "Most people in this building only see uniforms, but you saw the truth." The boy fidgeted nervously. "I just didn't want you to get hurt." Victoria smiled faintly, something her employees rarely saw. "You may have just saved this company, and for that, your father won't be pushing a mop anymore." Paul was stunned. Victoria turned to him. "Starting tomorrow, you'll join our security division. I need people I can trust." And then she looked at the boy. "And you, when you're ready, I'll be waiting with a scholarship for the best schools in the country. Titan takes care of those who protect it." For the first time in years, the woman known as the Ice Queen of Wall Street felt something melt inside her chest. She had stepped into that elevator a CEO, but she walked out owing her empire to a janitor's son who dared to whisper, "Don't talk." Victoria Hale's name was whispered with awe and fear across Wall Street. At only 42, she was the powerhouse CEO of Titan Industries, a conglomerate that had swallowed competitors whole and dominated entire markets. She was beautiful, sharp, and utterly ruthless. This morning, however, even she felt the weight of exhaustion. The boardroom battle had drained her, investors pushing, lawyers circling like sharks, and the looming $2 billion merger that could either secure Titan's future or tear it apart. When the boardroom emptied, she loosened her silk scarf, heels echoing down the marble corridor. She pressed the elevator button, eager to descend 45 floors to the sanctuary of her car and driver. Ding. The doors slid open. Inside stood a boy. He was maybe 12, with messy dark hair and oversized clothes. That suggested he'd outgrown them months ago. In his small hands, he held a mop handle like a knight clutching a sword. A yellow bucket sat at his feet. Victoria frowned, surprised. "Aren't you a little young to be working here?" The boy glanced nervously at her, then at the ceiling. His lips trembled. "I'm just helping my dad." Recognition clicked. His father was Paul the janitor she had seen countless times cleaning the glass lobby late at night. Paul was invisible to most, but Victoria had noticed his silent dedication. She never remembered seeing his son before. Victoria stepped inside, her perfume filling the confined space. The door shut, and the elevator began its descent. But before she could ask the boy anything else, he turned sharply toward her, eyes wide with terror, and whispered, "Don't talk." Her first instinct was offense. How dare a janitor's kid speak to me like that? Her lips parted to scold him. But something in his eyes' pure fear froze her. He pressed a finger to his lips and shook his head. His gaze flicked again toward the ceiling corner. Victoria, confused but intrigued, followed his eyes. At first, she saw nothing, just the smooth stainless steel panels. But then, with her trained, calculating eye, she noticed it. A tiny glint. A thin wire tucked into the seam of the panel. Her stomach sank. The boy leaned closer, whispering so faintly she had to tilt her head. "My dad found microphones, hidden all over the building. He tried to tell someone, but they didn't believe him. They said, 'The elevator is the worst. Whoever's behind it, they're listening to everything you say.'" Victoria's mind raced. Someone was spying on her here, in her own headquarters. Impossible. Her security team would never allow it. And yet here it was, clear evidence staring her in the face. The boy continued in a whisper, voice shaking. "Dad told me, if I ever saw you, I had to warn you, because if you talk, they'll know everything. About the merger, about everything." Her blood ran cold. She thought of the documents she had signed that morning, the confidential calls she had taken in this very elevator, the strategy sessions she had discussed with lawyers. If someone had been listening all this time, her enemies already knew everything. The elevator slowed. Ding. The doors opened to the lobby. Victoria's face remained unreadable, the mask of a seasoned CEO. She stepped out, her heels steady. She did not say a word, but just before leaving, she turned and gave the boy a single, piercing look. A look that meant, "You did well. Stay quiet. I'll handle this." That evening, after the building had emptied, Victoria summoned Paul, the janitor, and his son, to her private office on the top floor. Paul stood nervously at the threshold, cap in hand, his son clinging to his sleeve. Victoria's office was a kingdom of glass and steel, with the glittering skyline behind her, like a throne backdrop. "Close the door," she ordered. Paul obeyed. "Ma'am, I didn't mean to get him involved. He just overheard me talking. Please don't." "Silence." Victoria cut him off, her tone sharp but not cruel. She studied them for a long moment. Then, finally, she softened just slightly. "You were right," she said. "There are microphones. Someone is spying. And if not for your son, I would still be walking blindly into their trap." Paul's jaw dropped. I tried to tell security, but nobody listened. They laughed at me. They won't laugh anymore," Victoria replied. She rose from her chair, crossing the room with the quiet authority of a general. She stopped before the boy. "You're braver than most men in this building. You saved me today." The boy flushed, unsure how to respond. Victoria turned back to Paul. "Starting tomorrow, you will not scrub floors. You'll join my internal security division. I need people who see what others overlook." Paul's eyes widened in disbelief. "And you?" She looked at the boy again. "You'll have a scholarship, from Titan to the best schools in the country. When the time comes, you'll have a place here waiting for you. Not with a mop," she gave a faint smile, "but with a desk." Paul's throat tightened, emotion shining in his eyes. "Ma'am, I don't know what to say." Victoria's gaze sharpened. "Say nothing. You both understand now why silence is power." The boy nodded gravely, and for the first time in years, The infamous Ice Queen of Wall Street felt her armor crack not from weakness, but from respect. She had stepped into that elevator a CEO, but she walked out, indebted to a janitor's son who had the courage to whisper, "Don't talk."